Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the latest track guide for Daily Race C in the new Mazda MX-5 touring car. Now this car is extremely enjoyable to drive. It is BOP down a bit, so it's got slightly, I think it's slightly heavier and slightly less powerful than it is obviously as stock. And also this race is driven on the sports hard tyre, so obviously your time trial lap is done on the sports hard tyres. And I actually think that's the correct tyre for this car, because I think any grippier tyre and this car would be far too easy to drive, if I'm honest. This combination is really fun. It feels like they've got the tyre pretty much spot on for this track, and I think with the tyre wear on time 16 it should be quite interesting towards the end of the race and encourage a bit of tyre saving for them final laps. Although when we did try this car out in when it first came out, the tyres tended to last really well, so I'm not too sure if it's even going to really have much wear at all by the end of the race. As long as you drive it fairly sensibly and you're not sliding it around, it should be fairly solid all the way through the race. But in this guide we're going to point out all the braking zones, all the points of entry into the corners to get you the most out of your lap. I am currently number one at the point of now when I'm doing this video. I was number one in the EU and I was number one in the world overall. However, that has been slightly overtaken by someone that's gone about 2/10 quicker than this lap. This lap is in the 2 minutes 29s. I'm sure by the end of the week everyone will be well into the 2 minutes 29s. I think I've got about another 2 to 3 tenths left in me on this combination, maybe a bit more. But like I say, I tend not to push these time trials. I set a lap and then I just make do with it. I don't tend to really go too much into like going lap after lap to try and improve. But this is a really enjoyable combination. I think you're all going to enjoy it this week. This is the race that we're going to do when we stream live later. I think this is, I'm just going to stick to this Daily Race C. I'm not really bothered about race B. Looks okay, but I'm not going to do it. And race A again, I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to have fun on this race. We're going to start from the back of the grid on our other account probably and see what we can do with this MX-5. I think it's a standing start, so it should be fairly entertaining. A lot of chaos and probably quite a fun watch when you check that stream out later on in the week or whenever. So let's get through to this track guide. You can see going through the final chicane on the replay camera, you can really cut a lot off of that final chicane, and you really need to get the gearing right with this car. This car in third gear, really, if you let it dip a bit below 65-66 miles per hour, you lose a lot of time. So I'm going to try and point this out now as we go through the lap and try and give you as much advice as I can to help improve your lap, to get you as far up the grid as I can physically do, basically. As we go over the start finish line, obviously trying to extend. You see, this was actually my third lap. You can see we did a 1 minute 30.3 and another 1 minute 30.3 on lap 1 and 2. This was my third lap, as we're going to try and push it a bit more now. You can see going into turn 1, you're only looking for the 50 board on the left hand side, braking just past that. You can see the braking input going in now, and again you want to try and get your right hand tyre as close-ish to that right hand curb as possible. You'll see I don't want to hit it because I don't want to take too tight of a line. I want to swing this car out to the left hand side, hitting that curb on the left hand side pretty much perfectly there, and that enables me to widen the angle into the final part of this corner and get on the accelerator early. You see how I'm already on maximum acceleration through the corner now, and we're going to carry that speed all the way through the corner and now into the acceleration zone. You can see the ghost behind it actually gained a bit there, and now into this tricky section of track. But with this car, it's actually flat out. You just want to get your left hand tyre onto that little bit of green Astro there, and then a little lift off the brake onto the brake, a little tap of the brake there just to get the rotation onto the front end, and a slight lift off the accelerator you see there, and then just gradually feeding that throttle back in, clipping the curb on the right side, and now going to swing it from to the right hand side of the track to get it back over to the left. And again, you're going to use a little bit of green Astro as much as possible with that left hand tyre. Be careful not to lose the rear of the car at this point of the track. And now into this right hand corner, where again you're going to try and hug that curb as much as possible, and a dab of the brakes again to rotate the car. And you see I'm trying to hold it to the apex, not really perfect through. I could have gained a bit of time. I didn't quite hook that corner up, but managed to get on the power and then swing it back into this left hand part of the corner and maintain the momentum. But I think maybe a tenth was lost on them few corners there, where we can definitely go a little bit faster. And now we're going into the 2 fast right hand corners under the bridge. You'll see now this is 4th gear. You're not going to get downshift, you're going to stay in 4th gear, braking literally just before that 50 board on the left hand side. You see the braking inputs going in now, and you're going to attack this corner. You want your car to be basically all the way over that curb, right hand tyre hitting the green part of the Astro, and just coast it through the corner in a way. You don't want to be off on the brakes or anything. You just want to carry as much speed as possible. Now when the car is straight, hitting the brakes slightly and you're going to try and slow this car down now, but you want to carry the speed through. So we're going down to third gear, and we're going to try and swing it through this corner, and you'll see me coming off the accelerator mid-corner. This is because I want to rotate the car slightly, but you can see again there, getting that right-hand tyre onto that green part of Astro. So you'll see that little lift off the accelerator just then. That's because just to try and rotate the car a bit more, and I actually hooked that up really well, taking as much speed pretty much as I could through there. And you can see the Ghost pulling away from the Ghost quite considerably. And now into the next heavy braking zone, where we're going to brake once the car's straight there. We're going to brake just quite a bit before that lamppost on the right hand side, down into second gear, and again we're going to keep the car fairly straight before turning it into the apex to try and square this corner off as much as possible, hitting that apex pretty much spot on there, and then back on the throttle as early as possible. You can see the throttle is slowly being fed in there, and then maximum throttle. Just be gentle with the steering inputs. Just don't, if you're too aggressive, the rear will slide out and you'll lose quite a considerable amount of time on the acceleration all the way up this hill now, as we now come into the spoon corner, which again is where you can really gain a lot of time on your lap. I actually think I lost a little bit of time on this lap. You'll see I didn't quite hook it up, but we're going to try and spot the braking point now, just past a little bit of grey tarmac there on the right hand side. Down, you're going to downshift it quite aggressively into third gear. You'll see here now. You can stay in fourth gear if you want for a bit longer, but I like to downshift aggressively and try and swing it in. But you can see I didn't swing it in perfectly, missed the apex slightly there, but managed to get back on the throttle at this point. And now you're going to hit that brake to rotate the car, and you'll see again I like to coast as much as possible and keep the speed as close to 70 miles per hour as possible. This car doesn't like going down below 65, 66 in third gear. It will just bog down a bit and won't have the acceleration. So you'll see very often I'm trying to accelerate and keep it above 66 miles per hour in third gear. And you can see now working our way into the 130R, which is completely flat out in this car. You can see losing a bit of time on the delta because I didn't quite hook up that spoon corner. I think there's a 10th left in there in that corner as well, as we now come to the 130R. 100% flat air, just be smooth with your inputs, hitting that curve nicely on the left hand side, and just be careful not to run too far to the right hand side. And now into the heavy braking zone, where we're going to brake pretty much in between the 150 and the 100 board there. You can see the braking inputs going in now. We're going to downshift slowly, not too aggressively, because you will over rev the car and it won't have the braking ability. You want to let that engine help you down through the deceleration zone. And now into second gear, you're going to attack these curbs really aggressively, really over that curb. And now this curb you're turning in so early because you've got to kind of cut this corner a little bit. You'll see as we go into this left hand corner, we're all the onto the grass with the left hand tires, and then a little lift off the throttle and then back onto the throttle. And now we're going to take it all the way to the right hand side of the track for the shortest distance to the finishing line. I stay in third gear all the way to the finishing line. I don't bother changing gear because you just lose a bit of momentum. We go over the line with a 3 minutes 29.9, which is a fairly solid lap. Like I say, I think there's another 2 attempts that I could probably improve if I just carried on today, and then if I was to carry it on through the whole week, I'm sure we could get down by another 3 or 4 attempts over the whole lap. It feels like a track where you'll keep finding time the more smooth you become and the more confident you get with getting on the throttle. But you'll see now from the chase camera, using the full width of the track there, and actually did that really nice to hook it up to the apex of that corner and carry the speed all the way through turn 1. A really nice turn 1 there with this lap. And now this is the quite tricky section. You can make or break a lap pretty much in this section. You'll see trying to swing it into each corner, making sure you're getting onto the curb. And now this right hand corner, you'll see I missed the apex slightly. You'll see now we're starting to drift a little bit away from it. Could have done with being a bit tighter to that apex to widen your line into this really fast left hand corner, and it would have just meant a little bit less scrubbing off speed through there, but it wasn't terrible. Like I say, maybe half a tenth to a tenth lost on that corner as we go into the really fast right hand corner again. Fourth gear, coast a little bit, brake once the car's straight, chuck it in, and then just a little lift off the throttle before getting back on the throttle, because you can, if you try and take too much speed through there, you'll run off wide and hit the barrier on the left hand side. And then into the heavy braking zone of the really tight hairpin. You'll see braking once the car is straight, down into second gear, but again not too fast down to second gear. You want to be quite progressive with your downshifts with this car. If you're too aggressive with the downshifting, it will tend to not stop as well. As we now come into the spoon corner again, you're going to see how I slightly miss the apex with that left hand tyre as we go into the first part of the spoon corner. So I just didn't hook it up properly. I would have liked to have took the left hand tyre slightly on the grass slightly. That's the best way to do it. You see braking just past that bit of grey tarmac, and you'll see we missed that by a good 2 or 3 feet at least. We could have took that better and carried a bit more speed through there, but kind of recovered it on the exit of the corner and carried at okay speed down the main straight, the back straight. But again, it wasn't perfect. Maybe, like I say, lost out about a tenth or so. through that corner. But now into that 130R, you'll see it's just all about carrying speed and being smooth with your inputs now with the steering wheel. You don't need to lift, it's 100% flat out. Just get your left hand tyre onto the curb, carry the speed through the corner. We had plenty of space left there. You can see it probably be flat in the race as well. Don't know whether when the tyres at the end it might need a little lift, but even then I still think this car will be completely flat. And you can see how much we can actually cut that corner on the final part of this chicane. It is quite aggressive. It looks like polyphony. Still haven't fixed that issue on that corner. I would like them to fix it, but while it's there, people are going to use that to get the best time out of their lap. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this guide. Hopefully I'll give you some tips with the car with regards to like third gear. You want to try and keep the revs up as much as possible in that third gear to carry the speed through the corners. It really does help this car. Let me know in the comment section if the lap has helped you out. Let me know if it's improved your time. I do like reading these comments in these videos. Thanks again for watching it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.